Pushing off on Pachulia. Leonard fires from the corner. And Leonard goes down again. And he's in pain again in front of the Spurs bench.
The Spurs were up 21 points in Game 1 of the 2017 Western Conference Finals on the road in Oracle Arena before this moment, the toughest place to play in the NBA at that time, where the Warriors had not lost a single postseason game there to that point in the playoffs. They'd only lost there 5 times their prior 2 finals runs. And here the Spurs were about to spoil the party, but no. Flash forward a week later, and you would think the Spurs never stood a chance to begin with. They got swept 4-0, losing by 36 points in Game 2 and by double digits in Games 3 and 4. If you're a younger NBA fan or just didn't watch back in 2017, you would have never known that the Spurs actually could have won. And if you're talking about a Spurs fan, should have won. But that's not the entire reason why people talk about this play and why it's such a big deal. All we have to do is watch it again to see why the extra set of steps that seem unnatural that Pachulia takes doesn't look too good. Now, I know some people argue that his head was turned away, but people that play basketball know that you're not supposed to go underneath or even close for that matter to a shooter's landing space. And look, I guess there's no way to prove if it was intentional or not. Honestly, who cares about what my thoughts are on it? Let's focus on what the NBA wrote to say on it, starting with Spurs head coach Greg Popovich, who ripped Pachulia in the media postgame.
A two-step lead with your foot closeout is not appropriate. It's dangerous. It's unsportsmanlike. It's just not what anybody does to anybody else. And this particular individual has a history with that kind of action. You can go back and look in Dallas games where he got a flagrant 2 for elbowing Patty Mills. The play where he took Kawhi down and locked his arm in Dallas. Ask David West, his current teammate, how things went when Jaja was playing for Dallas and he and David got into it. Totally unnatural closeout that the league has outlawed years ago and pays great attention to it.
This right here was fuel to the fire. YouTube compilations were made referencing the dirty plays Pop mentioned. The whole media cycle the next day being around his comments, where I personally think Colin Cowherd showcases the best summary of how NBA fans felt.
Zaza Pachulia is in this league not because he's a gifted scorer, not because he's a remarkable rebounder, defender. He's in this league, same reason Bruce Bowen was in this league, because he can defend a little and he can do the things that the stars don't want to do. And we have a history of a guy. This is who he is. This is his history.
Now, what are Colin and Greg Popovich talking about? Let's start with the game that Pop mentioned most frequently when Zaza was with Dallas a year prior to this in 2016. In this one game where the Spurs are in Dallas, it was an ESPN primetime game, there's several clips of suspicious plays. It's almost hard to believe these are all from the same game. Zaza pulling on Kawhi's arm, going for a loose ball, so not even the first time he made a questionable play on Kawhi could have easily broke his arm like Pop mentioned. Then Zaza swinging his elbow with the ball at David West, who was actually then teammates with him on that 2017 Warrior team. Oh, then still the same game, another questionable play diving into Danny Green's knees when going for a loose ball towards the corner. And it's not just that game. Just ask one of the most beloved figures in basketball, Russell Westbrook. In January 2017, watch how Zaza just puts his hands up and runs into Russ mid-play on a ball screen. I mean, what is this about? Oh, then a year later in 2018, just intentionally falls on Russ when it seemed he pretty clearly had control of his body. Where this went viral of Russ then afterwards accusing him of trying to hurt him.
Don't ask me dumb questions, man. Obviously it was intentional. Try to hurt me, you know, but hey, that's how I go.
You've had a couple run-ins with Zaza. Do you think he's a dirty player?
Yeah, for sure.
And it didn't help that the NBA kind of agreed with all this backlash Zaza was getting, as they implemented a rule that offseason in September that stated NBA referees can rule closeouts as flagrant or technical fouls, where people call it the Zaza rule. Now, not all the criticism was fair, and a lot of messed up crap came as a result. Zaza needed to hire extra security for his kids at their school over the threats he and his family were receiving. So, like usual, people take it too far. I mean, that is insane. But it's definitely safe to say that he had a very questionable history of such plays.